Y'all already know what it is. Jay Williams, Let's Live Life, and we're back. Not all them guards, counselors, and people that work for the prison make a lot of money. The reality of it is, not many of them make a lot of money. Well, there's a will, there's a way. When it comes to some of them women, they were willing to do whatever they had to do to pay their bills. I've seen so many of them get walked off the compounds over the years for messing with inmates, accepting a little bit of money on the side for a little, you know, just to make the ends meet. It's a grimy world we live in. You know, I done seen it, I done dealt with it. So let's relive it. Alright, so before I get to Greensville, I'm in jail. I go through my receiving process. And at the time, they were bringing dudes from prison back to the jails before they were putting them back in the streets. That's how they used to do it. They would integrate them back to the jail system and then back into society, right? Some guys, depending on your conduct. That's why I end up going to Greensville. Talking to a dude I know. He said, man, Greensville is jumping. Put in for this place, but definitely press for Greensville. He said, if you put in for Greensville, they're going to send you there because don't nobody want to go there. He said, but I'm telling you, it is off the chain. I'm like, okay. He's like, they drinking up there, they smoking heavy. He's like, and the women, bro, there is women everywhere. He's like, there's so many female guards. He's like, I was just there a month ago. He's like, and I'm telling you, if you got some money, you can get on with one of these women. He's like, these women they selling it. I said, so the women of Greensville are tricking? He was like, man, it's a lot of women up there tricking. He's like, COs, like, full, they tricking. If you got money, you can get down. I said, shit, bet. You know what I mean? It sounds like the spot. I get to Greensville. We're sitting out front in the bus, waiting to pull to the gates. And I notice there's a whole lot of officers in the parking lot. There's state police there. There's COs everywhere. And a large majority of them are women. And they're, broken off in little sections, talking to different police officers, investigators. I don't know what's going on at the time. I go ahead, go in, get processed through, changed out into my prison uniform, head over to property, get over to the building, and I start hearing through all the inmates what's going on. They had busted a prostitution ring at Greensville. Consisted of, I think the number I remember was 16 women throughout the prison that were doing everything from selling sex to selling drugs. Some of these women were women that had been working as correctional officers for a very, very, very long time. These women range from their early 20s, some of them up until their 60s. Black, white, skinny, fat, short, tall. Every type of woman you could think about had been doing this. Not all of them, but you got to think there's a lot of officers up there. This is a compound that holds 3,700 inmates. There is a lot of correctional officers, right? So the dude I'm talking to, he's telling me, he's like, shit, they ain't even get them all. He's like, they just got some of them. There's still some of them that's, that gets down that didn't get hemmed up. In the weeks to come, they would get snatched up too. They started running these cameras back, had their prison snitches telling. Dudes were going to the hole left and right. I gave y'all a story on how dude called the control booth when, I was talking to the one guard and all that happened up there. But yeah, Greensville had a whole entire sex ring going on inside the prison where these women were accepting money. Guys were sending money, having their people send money and sliding off with it when nobody was looking. I just wanted to give y'all that insight to this place I was at before I actually got in to today's first story. This is just a little backdrop on how things actually do work in some of these prisons, how things are currently going in some other prisons right now, which is a fact. Ain't no telling. This is all common knowledge. Ain't nobody stupid. These ain't the first guards to get caught. So let's go into today's first story. Many years down the line, many years, after about 8.5 years being incarcerated, they shipped me to Chesapeake, Virginia. TC, therapeutic community, level 2. I don't even have level 2 points. My points are level 3, level 4. The counselor at Greensville overrode me and shipped me to this level 2 because they needed to fill these beds. This place is a government-funded program inside this prison. It's where I show up. It's nothing like what I'm used to. It's a lot of arguing and a whole lot less fighting. Not many stabbings. Stabbings were very rare up there. Even though there was knives, most of them guys didn't have a lot of time. Most of them hadn't even been locked up 2-3 years yet. What we had to do was call group every day. You had to pull your chair up front, put it in a big square, and a counselor would sit in front of everybody and talk. Then you do that for 45 minutes. The next group would consist of one of the inmates randomly getting up there and just talking. I had to do it sometimes, and I didn't mind because, as y'all know, I like to talk. People love when I got up there and talked. You know, it was cool for me to be able to, just even what I'm doing now, I would do then when they had me do the groups. Nothing different, except this is a camera. Y'all watch from that side, but up there were actually all these other inmates that would listen to me talk, right? Well, in me talking, there was this counselor, and she was a short, caramel complexion, black woman. Her forehead was all the way back here. Like somebody had braided her braids way too tight and then just kept twisting them shits until it just pulled her head all the way back, right? She looked like RoboCop without the helmet, if you can picture what I'm saying. Like it was just a straight line, right? Not an attractive woman at all. The hairline was just horrendous. Her in general, there was just like, she was a sweet lady, but there was nothing attractive when it came to her features about this woman. So she would call me up to the front, and they had these tables there, and this was part of her job. She had to call, the inmates, offenders, convicts up there to sit down and talk. What's your plans once you get released? What are you going to do when you get out of here? Have you put any thought into where you're going to work? Any trades you want to take while you're here? Blah, 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 blah. This lady would call me up there a lot. After I do my groups or whatever, she'd be like, Williams, come here. And I'd go over there and sit down, and we would sit and talk 30, 45 minutes sometimes. And a couple of times while we were sitting there talking, your senses are heightened in prison. Your sense of smell, your hearing, all these things, believe it or not, they're heightened. Smells, you can smell something and you automatically know what it is. I'm sitting talking to this woman one day and I'm like, damn, she reeks of alcohol. Like she literally smells like she's been drinking off and on all day. It goes from her talking to me about my plans to her venting to me about her life. She's got a bunch of kids. She's not with none of their fathers. None of them help. None of them are in the picture. She's stressed. This job is all she's got. She doesn't make a lot of money. She wants to start taking these classes so that she can go actually be a counselor at, a youth center with youths because it pays more money. Yada, 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 yada. I'd sit up there and just listen. Well, have you thought about doing this? All right. Well, what if you do this? Well, then they got this place called Smith Hall, which is another building at Indian Creek that's all the way up towards the front where the gym's at. It's kind of adjacent from where I was at in 5 building. And she would call me up there sometimes. And we were sitting down, and like I said, we have to go over my home plan. I had to get a DMV would come into the prison and take your photo so you would have an ID when you got out. You got to have your birth certificate sent in. There's all these different things you got to do. They don't just release you. That have to be checked off before you can go home. I knew the lady had a thing for me. She didn't have to say it. I've got a brain. I've been around a lot longer, than some people, and dealt with a lot of females in my life. And then sitting there talking to the lady, she would smile and chuckle and laugh at stuff that wasn't really funny. Kind of like a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old boy sitting there, like that kind of stuff, right? So she would start calling me up to Smith Hall, and up at Smith Hall, she had a cubicle. There was like an office section over there where that was her office, her little section set up. And she would call me up there for random stuff. What are you doing? I'm like, come to see what was up. I was working in the warehouse. They just called me from VCE. What's going on? Oh, nothing. I don't have any more groups or anything for a while. So I figured, I just call you up here and check in on you, see how you're doing. I'm like, all right. I can already see where this is going, right? We're sitting there out the blue one day, and she's gotten to the point where she's calling me up here so much now that it's starting to make me uncomfortable. Like, man, these people going to lock me up. They're going to take me and throw me in a hole on investigation because you keep calling me up here, and they're going to want to know, why does Jay Williams keep going up to Smith Hall to see this counselor, right? I'm talking one day, she's asking me a question, and I'm in the middle of answering the question, and she looks at me, she goes, do you like black women? And for real, just the blatancy of it and how it came across threw me for a loop. Wasn't expecting that. I was answering a serious question that had something to do with me getting released. Do you like black women? And I stopped talking, and there was this awkward silence for about 5-6 seconds. I said, what do you mean, do I like black women? She was like, do you like black women? Like, do you mess with black women? I said, oh, man. I said, what's that got to do with the question you just asked me? She said, well, it's something I need to know personally. I said, do you like white men? She was like, I like all men. Yes, I like white men. And I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, I ain't, really put any thought into it. I've been more focused on going home. I'm ducking the question because I'm trying to keep it from going where she's trying to take it. You know what I mean? A lot of people be like, oh, you tripping, bro. I'd have been in there, man. You should have jumped in there. Look, man, I'm not one of them dudes that's just going to lay up with anything. I don't care if it has been 10 years. This woman was just not an attractive woman. She just was not anything that, I would ever holler at. She wasn't. Not only that, she was hot. Like, when I mean hot, like, she did things so blatantly that 100% if you mess with this woman, if you decide to take the bait she just threw out, slide up in the art room with her, drop your pants, and, boom, 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 get it in, there's going to be problems behind this. She is definitely the type that's going to end your ass locked up in the hole. Other dudes are watching this, and they're starting to catch on that she likes me, and she's calling me up there. So she asked me again, so do you like black women? I said, look, man, I knew you liked me. I knew you kind of had a thing for me. I said, but I'm about to get out. I'm less than a year now, and man, I'm not trying to get myself jammed up, man. It's flattering and all. And she was like, oh, like her whole demeanor changed. Like, went back to the serious note, right? Went back to the whole asking me questions. Like, I guess she was kind of bashful and felt probably stupid that she just got turned down by an inmate. She stopped calling me up Smith Hall. She stopped all these random calling me from work to come up there and sit down in her office. All the randoms calling me to the front of the dorm area to sit down at the table and ask me questions. I talked to her one more time after this. We agreed that everything was straight with my home plan. Where I was going to go to was set up. Everything was official. There was nothing else we needed to get talked to about, right? I'm coming back from work one day, and I work within the prison. It's not like I go to a real job. There's a warehouse inside the prison, inside the fences, that I just walk out of my building, walk over to. There's a guard standing there, pats everybody down. We go in. I drive forklifts, package chemicals all day. They take these chemical packages, ship them off to different companies, different prisons. And I'm coming back from work one day, and I see her, and she is being led by 3 officers off the compound. We all know, as inmates, cons, that when you see a woman being led off the compound, One of two things has been done. She has been fired and she's being escorted off the premises, or she's been fired and caught doing something with an inmate she shouldn't be doing. Now she's being let off the premises. If they've investigated, she's brought drugs in, she could potentially be facing charges. They walk her up off. I get back to my building, and there's a dude in there, and I'm not gonna put the dude's name out because I don't know what he's got going on in life. Plus, this dude had a girl and kids and everything, right? I look over and his bunk is empty. All you see is his green mat. His sheets ain't on there. He had his TV tied up underneath the bunk, this little flat screen. That's gone. His locker door is open. So I know this guy's gone to the hole. So I walk into my homeboys and I'm like, yo, you know, they just walk in the officer. They walk in the counselor ladies. The officers are walking up off the compound. Like, yeah, man. Everybody already knows about it. You ain't hear about it? I'm like, nah, I've been in the warehouse all day. We don't get to leave the warehouse. Like, we ain't heard nothing. What happened? Man, they caught her up at Smith Hall, man. Yeah, they caught her up at Smith Hall. You know the little room you go in where they do the artwork and the dudes go in there and paint the murals and stuff. Yeah. One of the guards walked by, seen something, backed up, turned the light on, and there she was in there, giving it up. Dude standing behind her, pound game in full effect. Called for other officers. They came in, locked dude up, escorted her over to the sergeant's office, and then escorted her ass up off the compound. This is when using your brain comes into play. Had that have been me in that room with her and I'd have got caught, and I would have got caught, I would have lost all my good time. My release date would have changed. Me getting home to my son would have changed by quite a bit of time. I would have been shipped off somewhere else and have just messed up my entire bid, existence, and life in the name of something that I wasn't really interested in to begin with. But some people are so thirsty, so deprived, and just have no standards that they don't care. I was always one of them dudes that would care. But most of all, this goes back to use your brain. If something seems to be too good to be true, a lot of times it is. If you see a situation and a door opens up and you think, all right, there's room for me to progress in this, definitely a lot for me to gain. Oh, skeet, 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 you know what I mean? But the downside is I'm 100% going to get caught. That's when you weigh out your options. You know, you going to get with this or you going to get with that. I didn't get with that. I stayed doing what I was doing, and I came home when I was supposed to. Crazy, crazy world. Now, it shouldn't come as a surprise that in all the years I've spent locked up, you got to think, going back to my teen years, preteen years, up until my 20s, all the way through my 20s, halfway through my 30s. There's a lot of stories and things I remember that happened, took place when it goes to female guards and female counselors getting weak, getting thirsty, and jumping out there and messing with an inmate. I'm going through my brain of all these different, situations and different things that, are just in my memories, Rolodex. And I came across one I hadn't thought about in a long time. That's what I'm about to give y'all. We had a dude named B. Moore. I'd have met 10 B. Moores, probably 20. B. Moore from Baltimore. I talked about another B. Moore. This is not the same B. Moore. Almost everybody from Baltimore you meet in Virginia is going to be called B. Moore. I meet this dude named B. Moore, right? B. Moore's a gang member. Chill ass dude, man. Good people. B. Moore, I know you're out, so if you're watching this, man, we'll keep your name out this, but shout out to you, man. You're a wild, wild boy, man. B-More had that swag about him that you knew that this wasn't just a prison swag. B-More had shown me pictures of, his life on the streets. He hadn't been locked up. This is at the same place as the last story. So we still got these counselors running around. He would show me his cars, pictures, where he lived at, his kids, his girl, all this, right? B-More was actually the man out there. B-More was doing his thing, right? These guards, these counselors would come and go. Some of these women had no training, no real training when it come to being a counselor or being a guard. Some of them had bad home lives. Nobody really messed with them or paid them any mind, in the streets. You pick that woman up, drop her inside of a penitentiary with a couple hundred men, and all of a sudden, she's a supermodel. Dudes are at her. Dudes are always making comments, doing this, doing that. And for the most part, if they don't say anything about it, it just gets worse. More and more dudes start doing it. She ain't gonna tell nobody. You can gun her down, you can do this. And dudes would do weird stuff like that. You might be sitting in group and see somebody, like something move to your left, because that's where the bathroom was, and it had like these swing stall doors when you go in. And you might see a set of eyes poked up over the door, and all you can see is this. He's behind the door while we're all in group getting money. He's back there going at it. We had this blonde lady show up. She did not look like she belonged inside of a prison. She was a pretty woman, way too pretty to have been where she was at. She should have definitely considered another career path or put more thought into what she was doing before she did it. But she takes this job as a counselor, and she said the same thing as the other woman. She had to do this for a year. She had to work within a men's prison for a year as a counselor before she could pursue this other job she wanted, which was higher up the food chain, was going to put her career on a different path and give her more money. Me and B-More kicked it, to say the least, quite a bit, man. B-More, I would definitely consider him one of the dudes I met that, when I was locked up, was one of the closest things I could say would come to being somebody I would kick it with on the streets, or that was actually borderline, I could say he was my friend. I never knew B-More really to be a liar. Everything he always said was always validated. He had pictures on everything. Like, he'd get letters, and you'd see his people in the visiting room, and he was, he was official tissue, right? B-More, I always see him up front. And by now, I'm about 3 months from release. I ain't focused on nothing but that door, getting up out of here, trying to limit the fights I get into, the altercations. I'm not trying to get snagged up. Man, this 10 is almost up. It's been a long time coming. I'm going to go home. I got my girl waiting at the crib. I'm going to bust him. I'm in there when I get out. I'm doing my thing. I got a female. I just need to get up out of here, right? So I'm doing everything I can to keep myself from getting jammed up. B-More used to run these groups. He was a good talker also. And they had different guys. It was called a hierarchy. This hierarchy consisted of different guys that had done different things while in this place to get this position. Now, with this hierarchy, you had control over inmates. You had inmates telling on inmates, but they didn't consider it telling. They called it a write-up, awareness slip. You're trying to help them be more aware of their actions before they get released, go back out into the world. You want to help them change the way they think. That's the whole purpose of this program. B-More is just like he's got the same thing going on that it was with me and, Miss Half Forehead Lady, right? He is always in this blonde-haired woman's face talking. She comes in, me and B-More can be dead sentence. He'll break his neck to get away from me and get up there so he can be the first one to talk to her, right? So, and kicking it walking the track one day, he tells me, man, I'm a smash. She's feeling me. I said, word? He was like, yeah. I was like, man, that woman's done did groups, man. She got a husband, she got kids, she got everything at home. She's not feeling you, bro. She don't even come off like that. He's like, nah, you don't know what we be talking about, man. Like, she's about to get down. Like, me and her, I'm going to get down. I'm telling you, I'm going to smash. I'm like, bro, you're not about to smash this lady, man. I'm like being real with him. I'm like, nah, I don't, maybe, man, I don't know. I said, I don't see it. You know what I mean? I just don't see it. She don't come off like that. He's like, nah, she don't come off to you like that. But she be talking crazy to me, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll brush up against her, rub up on her booty, and she don't say nothing. I'm like, stop playing, man. B-More's like, yeah, bro, I'm telling you, it's going down. I'm going to make my way up Smith Hall. I'm going to get her up in there. You know, we're going to slide off. And there was a lot of different rooms in there, like little just rooms where different things took place. Might be arts in one room. It might be, you know, music in another room. Different things that took place up here. They might be having a meeting or something with council. They had a bunch of different empty rooms up here is what I'm getting at. I said, that's what's up. Now, Indian Creek is a place you see people go home daily. I hated that about this because with being at Greensville, seeing someone leave was not an everyday occurrence. Out of 3,700 inmates, on a good day, 2 people would go home. But then 5 would show up from another prison. You didn't see people going home. Those 2 people might have been on the other side of the compound. I didn't see a lot of guys on a day-to-day basis go home. But at this place, you were seeing people leave left and right, left and right, left and right. So he walks me through the whole, yeah, she's doing this, she's doing that. You know what I mean? Like, she feeling me. I'm going to smash. I'm telling you, I'm going to lay this pipe. It's going down. I said, all right, man, we'll see what happens. And I told y'all B-More was real big into showing proof of everything. Bunch of dudes go home, you know, in the weeks to come after this. And B-More comes to me with this picture. And this picture is just crazy. He's got a picture of the counselor, and she's in a pair of thongs, butt cheeks out, got her head turned so all you can see the back of her head, and she's got her arms crossed, like covering her boobs. So it's more of like a back shot. Can't really see much of her arms, but you can see the whole back silhouette of her in a pair of thongs and this long blonde hair, right? He's like, I've been pushing her for the picture. She brought me the picture. I told you it's going down. So now I'm like, yo, my dude's in there. Like, man, I'm sorry I doubted you, bro. Like, damn. This is actually a picture. This is a picture. So I'm like, damn, bro, that's crazy. I told y'all it always ends bad. B-More shows this picture to so many different dudes. And he's not just been telling me that she brought him this picture and that they got plans to link up and that he's going to smash. He's telling a lot of dudes. He's telling the gang members. Everybody has seen this picture, right? They come in one day and the counselor's sitting there. This blonde woman sitting there. She's holding a group. She's talking to everybody. B-More's over there sitting in a chair with the hearts flying out of his eyes. You know, tongue hanging out of his mouth. Not really, but that's kind of, you know what I mean, the image that I'm sure you could portray. They come in and they tell her, get up, come with us. They tell him, get up, let's go to your locker, let's go to your bed area. They walk her out, and right outside of our, you know, pod is a counselor's office, and then you go into, there's a sergeant's office. They take her into the sergeant's office. They go to B-More's rack, go to his bunk, and they start tearing his stuff up. They're going through every piece of mail, every letter, every item of clothing, every CD, everything he owns, and they come across this picture. Boom. They got the picture of the counselor. They take him in to the sergeant's office, pull the counselor out into the hallway. Another CO standing there talking to her. And the whole time you can see her. We can't hear her because there's a big glass wall, but you can see her going, no. They get B-More in there. B-More ain't saying much. You know what I mean? B-More is like, man, I've been had that picture. Somebody came and told us this is a picture of the counselor. You were the counselor messing around. They're getting ready to fire this woman, right? B Moore's going to the hole. She done brought him a partially nude picture, right? Come to find out, it wasn't a picture of her. She told one of the CEOs, let me see the picture. Showed her the picture, and she was like, that's not me. They looked at the picture, and they were like, definitely looks a lot like you. And she was like, it's not me. And they were like, no, we're pretty sure it's you. She ended up going in the bathroom with one of the guards, lifting her shirt up and showing them all the tattoos she had. Tattoos, the tramp stamp, a big tattoo she had on each shoulder blade. And these tattoos were years old. They hadn't just been done. These are things she had 5-10 years on her body. They moved her to another building. Took B Moore, and B Moore, I gotta call you a dumbass. You definitely today's dumbass. They took B Moore's dumbass to the hole, and the counselor started holding group in another building. The whole thing was a lie. He had never brushed up against her. He had never messed with her. The picture wasn't even of her. One of these dudes that I told you go home every day. A lot of these dudes get pictures from different females. This guy had this picture of some chick that he had been messing with a long time ago and gave it to B Moore before he left, along with some other pictures he had. A couple freak books, you know what I mean? And B Moore looked at it and was like, damn, this looks like her from the back, and started showing everybody and telling them it was her. She went on to finish up her year there at Indian Creek. Left that job to go on to another career. I would end up going home and not seeing B Moore again, because I told you I only had 3-4 months left. They shipped B Moore because he had become a security risk to the prison, because they knew now he was thirsty and he was trying to get with these females. And the moment he does that, that opens up a whole lot of doors for him that is really bad for the prison. I wanted to give y'all that story because I don't want y'all to think that they're all doing this. Sometimes people lie to make themselves look bigger or more popular or whatever than what they actually are. Some people lie sometimes because that's what they've created in their head. But she wasn't a bad woman. She was loyal to her husband, took her job serious, and she hadn't messed with nobody. I did see a whole lot of women up there get walked off up there. I got a lot of stories of women up there that got caught and they got led up off there. But y'all know with the way that I upload my videos, this is the two for today. Because it's Friday. Payday, payday, payday. And y'all know I got to go get that money. But anyways, these institutions, prisons, jails, facilities, they're all just crazier worlds inside of this already crazy world we live in. And like always, y'all know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? This is Jay Williams. Let's live life. And to all my real ones and awesome real ones watching, because y'all still watching me. Y'all know how we do around here, man. Salute.